Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I have a very exciting show for you today. I have somebody who started real estate investing with a house hack in DC, switched that up, moved to California, did it again in Oakland, has a significant other in the game in the real estate business, and has grown that through a partnership now into syndications, and is half of the leadership team with Good Egg Investments. Let's welcome Annie Dickerson to the show. How you doing, Annie?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Michael.
Excellent. And so why don't you kind of give a quick 60-second bio on who Annie Dickerson is, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, first, I'm a busy mom of two boys. They are 7 and 3.5, so they keep us very busy. My husband, as you mentioned, is a real estate agent, and as soon as he decided to get into real estate, I thought, well, I'm going to cross that off my list. We can't both be in real estate. That's ridiculous. But here we are. Life is just funny that way. And so through Good Egg, my partner Julie, who's also been on your show, Julie and I got together in about 2018, midway through 2018, and we decided to create Good Egg Investments to really help other busy moms, busy families to invest passively in real estate syndications, which are just group investments. And so we've been doing that through Good Egg, and we've done 20 plus large scale commercial syndications since then.
Very, very cool. So quick question about your husband. Was he always in real estate, or did that happen sometime after you were married?
Good question. He and I were both in tech, actually.
Okay.
I was doing game design, actually, and he was in web development.
Okay.
And so we went from, you mentioned we started out in DC, and then we moved from DC to Vancouver, Canada, where I went back to school to study game design.
Okay.
And then we made it down to Oakland, and I thought, this is great. We won't have to move anymore because we're both in tech. There's tons of tech opportunities here in the Bay Area. And as soon as we moved, he says, honey, I think I'm going into real estate. I said, what?
Where did that come from? Okay. So what year was that? Was that like 15, 12? When was that aha moment for him?
That was 2014.
Okay. So 2014. So pretty good timing. At least it's coming off the bottom, right? If you consider the bottom like 11 or 12. So he is a real estate agent to, basically open houses and single family homes and stuff like that, right?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Got it. Still in Oakland, mainly?
Still in Oakland, yes.
Okay.
And he specializes in helping people who want to house hack, just like we did.
Now it's all coming together. He's got experience doing it a couple of times. So let's talk about house hacking. Again, why don't you go ahead and define what you mean by house hacking?
Sure. So to us, house hacking has always been buying duplexes. And so we would live in one unit and rent out the other. And in fact, we're still house hacking even now with 2 kids. So we have a duplex now in Oakland. We live in the top unit and we rent out the bottom unit. And by doing that, we get the rental income every month, which helps us pay down our mortgage and other expenses.
So again, the house hack under the residential umbrella really applies to 4plexes and below, correct?
Yes.
Very, very cool.
And you can even house hack within a single family home. You can rent out the other bedrooms in a single family home. So there's lots of ways to do it.
Yes, absolutely. I've known many people that talk about house hacking a home, but only a few folks that do it. And most of the ones that I've seen do it long-term are single guys, because it's just a headache, I would imagine. I couldn't imagine living like in a dorm that way, but it is certainly possible. So you start house hacking, you see help with the mortgage payments, you're a busy mom, you're in tech, your husband is now in real estate. When do you get inspired to look deeper into real estate other than house hacking?
So as I mentioned, I didn't want to get into real estate. That was never my intention. I thought, oh my gosh, if I get into real estate, that's all we'll be talking about all the time. No, we have to have some diversity here. And what happened was I was working as a creative director in the learning and development industry here in the Bay Area. And I was looking for a side project, and my husband said, well, maybe you can help me with my business. And I said, well, I don't know what I could help you with. And then I started with his website,
Okay.
which at the time was a single page site with his photo on one side and a block of text on the other side. And I said, oh boy, this is such low hanging fruit. Like, let me just take this on. And so I spent a good summer redoing his whole website and running around Oakland, taking photos of houses, doing videos, all this stuff to create the neighborhood pages and everything like that. So then I redo his website, and then I asked him, I said, who's your target audience? And he said, well, I want to help other families who want to house hack just like we did when we started out. So I said, okay, well, the next step now that the website is done is I can help you with your content marketing, but I can't do that unless I know more about house hacking. I mean, we've done it before, but, I don't really understand how to explain it to other people. So that's when I fell into the Bigger Pockets rabbit hole and
Yes.
started down that path and quickly realized that house hacking was just the tip of the iceberg. And so living in the expensive Bay Area, I thought, okay, well, we can't buy another duplex very easily. So let me start looking out of state. So that's when we started investing from afar.
Got it. Well, 2 questions. Let's give your husband a shout out. What is his website? So if anybody wants to go look it up, what would that be?
Check out my beautiful work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's dickersonrealty.com.
Excellent. dickersonrealty.com. Okay. So now you're down the Bigger Pockets rabbit hole, quickly realize you don't want to step up or can't, or whatever you want to say, in the Bay Area. You look out of state. Where'd you look?
Mm-hmm. All over. I looked all over. It was impossibly difficult and really time consuming.
Yeah.
And at first I didn't really know what I was looking for. I thought, okay, well, maybe I can look in places where we have family, but those tended to be more expensive markets too, like Seattle and Salt Lake City. And so then I thought, okay, well, let's just look in, let's look in emerging markets. And at that time, I read a great book by Dave Lindahl called Emerging Real Estate Markets.
I read that. Yeah.
And he not only goes through what an emerging market is, but he gives very concrete things to look for in any market, really. Things like job growth and population growth and job diversity. And one in particular that really helped me to land on the market that we ended up investing in, which was Huntsville, Alabama, which was a physical barrier to growth. And so when you think about the coastal cities, Boston, New York, San Francisco, one of the big drivers of the growth is this physical barrier because they have the ocean. You can't build anymore on the ocean. Sometimes particular markets have mountains or other types of physical barriers of growth. But in a lot of the middle America and Southeast, it's just land. It just sprawls for miles and miles. But Huntsville, Alabama is a little bit unique because if you look at a map of Huntsville, you have downtown Huntsville, and then right across from downtown Huntsville, you have this big patch of land, which is the Redstone Arsenal. It's government land, and that's where the first rockets were built. And so it's this huge plot of land, and no houses can be built there. So I thought, okay, I'm looking at the job growth numbers and population growth, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of jobs coming to Huntsville, and it's still relatively affordable. And at some point, they're going to run into issues because they can't build here. So it was the confluence of all of that stuff that led us to focus on that market.
And when did you buy your first property? What year was that roughly?
2017. So not that long ago. We found that first one on LoopNet, believe it or not, where deals go to die.
I was going to say, that's where good deals go. That's exactly what I was going to say. That's funny.
Yep.
All right. So
let me tell you.
Go ahead.
exactly how that happened, because I think it's a really interesting story. So I found this property on LoopNet. It was a 6-unit property
Okay.
for like $200,000. So first of all, coming from the Bay Area, I'm like, $200,000 for 6 units? I'm like, what is wrong with this property? And I dig into it, and I'm Google mapping it, Street View, and I see right across the street from this property is this place called Campus 805, which is an old middle school that the city of Huntsville shut down, and then they renovated it and turned it into these small local businesses. So they have microbreweries, they have a paint and sip in there, they've got an axe throwing place. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, this looks like something that would be in the Bay Area. What's it doing in Huntsville?
Right.
And right across the street from this 6-unit that happens to be listed. I'm like, okay, so something's going on in this neighborhood and I want to be a part of it. And so that first property we actually bought with our HELOC, our home equity line of credit on the current house we're living in. We bought it for $170,000 in 2017. I cannot say, Michael, that it was a home run. It was a base hit, but it got us in the market.
Yeah.
We've since gotten, over 20 doors in that area. But that first one, we had some issues with it. We certainly learned a lot along the way. And this year we decided, because it was breaking even, we were like, let's just sell it.
Okay.
And we were able to sell it for almost $100,000 more than what we bought it for. So in 2 years, we made $100,000, which is not too bad for a small market like Huntsville.
Yeah, that's not bad. Now, did you take the cash? You 1031? How'd you exit?
We've done 1031s in the past, and some were successful, some were not. Yeah. At this point in our lives with 2 small kids, we've decided that we don't want any more rental properties at this point. Okay. It's a lot more hassle for us than it's worth. So we decided to take the money and run.
Fair enough.
Which is, it's a big reason why we try to help people learn about and invest in syndications, is that's what fits with our lives right now.
Very cool. Well, let's make that switch. So you realize being a landlord's hard, complicated, especially East Coast. That's like a far away. There are upsides, obviously appreciation when you do your homework and you pick a market like Huntsville. I've done many shows on Huntsville, and it is a solid market still because of that. So when did you make that switch to, okay, I want to go be a GP on syndications? When did you partner up with Julie? What was the kind of order? Was Julie first or syndications first, or how'd that go?
When I first learned about syndications, it was because friends and family were asking, hey, I see all this stuff you're doing in Huntsville. I would love to invest there too. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh yeah, no problem. I'll teach you how to do it. First, you got to research it, and you find the properties, you underwrite the properties, you do the inspections, I'm going on, and they're like, they're like, wait, you mean I have to do all of this work? Yeah. I just want the properties. I just want the money. I don't want to do all this work. And I'm sure you've had the conversations too. I had enough of these conversations to where I thought, well, I know how to do it. Maybe there's some way I can do it for them, and then they can come into the deal with me. But at this time, I didn't even know about syndications. I just thought, the fourplexes that I'm doing are a little too small. There's not enough room for people, but maybe I could do something a little bit bigger. And so, going into bigger pockets and researching, that's when I discovered syndications. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. I've done a 4-unit. Well, let me just scale it up and do a 40-unit. How hard could it be? And I didn't know what I didn't know. So I went down that path and tried to get some larger properties under contract. But thankfully, the universe stepped in and gave me an opportunity to partner with somebody else on their deal. And they asked if I would be interested in raising capital for their deal. And I said, Heck no. That raising capital is the hardest part of the whole thing. Why would I want to raise capital? I'm going to save my good investors for my deal. Thank you very much. But they said, well, you're partnering with us, your investors will still be your investors. You're communicating with them. The only thing is you're providing them an opportunity that they wouldn't normally have access to. And I said, yeah, you know what? You're right. So that was my first experience in raising capital. And I quickly realized that's the part of the whole syndication process that I really loved, because it's all about education. Mm-hmm. And I had been in the field of education for years and years. I started out as a fourth grade teacher, in fact.
I didn't know that.
And so that's at that point, that was around the time that I had met Julie, and she had already been raising capital for other deals for a little while. And because we both wanted to help other busy families and we had complementary skill sets, that's when we decided to team up.
Excellent. Do you remember that first deal that you were a part of? It's always fun to talk about the first one.
Oh, yeah. I do. I don't remember the exact unit count. I want to say it was something like 200, and it was just over 250 units in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
And it was a B-class property. I flew out and met up with the partners, and we did a tour of the property. And I remember walking around and being like, I could live here. Like, this isn't bad. But I could also see the potential to improve the property. And so, yeah, that first one will always stick with me.
So is that 2018-ish?
Yes, that was early 2018.
Okay, very cool. And then the plan for that one's like a 5-year hold or 7-year hold, or do you know?
Yeah, it's a 5-year hold. Okay. It's a value add deal. Let's see, what else can I tell you about it?
Value add meaning rent raise, capital improvements, all that normal stuff?
Yes, exactly.
And the 250 units in San Antonio, Texas, what's that, like $8 million purchase? 30K a door? I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Oh, it's more than that. I can't remember what the exact purchase price on that one was.
Call it 10 million, 40K a door, somewhere.
Sure. So
it was 8 figures. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Okay. So now you get through that one. The universe connects you and Julie. She's done a couple by this point. I loved how you're focused. I remember reading some of your early stuff about Good Egg, the focus on busy moms. So why don't you talk about that being a particular passion of both of yours?
Yeah. So between the two of us, Julie and I have 5 kids. She's got 3 and I've got 2. And we had both, unbeknownst to us, because we only just met in 2018, but in the previous 10 years, we had both been living very parallel lives. We had both started out house hacking. And then I got into out-of-state investing. So did she, through the Burr method. And she did some private lending. Like, we were both sort of on our own searching for an investment type, an asset class, something that would make our money work for us while also we could focus on living our busy lives as moms. And so at the point when we met up, we both had this passion. We said, okay, we've found this amazing opportunity. It's called syndications, and it fits so well for busy moms because you just put your money in, you get all the same benefits, the cash flow, the equity, and the tax benefits that you would with a rental property, but you don't have to get those surprise calls from your property manager. You don't have to deal with evictions or anything like that. And so we really knew, but we knew though that this wasn't on most moms' radars. And so we said, okay, well, we have a real gap here and a real mission to meet moms where they are, and to figure out how we can help them, because we know their pain points. We've been there. We know they're busy with their jobs. They want to spend more time with their kids. We have this solution, and now let's figure out how to get it to them.
So I'm curious. I'm not a busy mom, obviously. And you say going to where they are we talking like mommy and me clubs, or where are busy moms going? I have no idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's places that they're going physically and there are places they're going online.
Oh, online, of course. Okay, got it.
Yes. So actually there's the equivalent of mommy groups on online, which
Yep,
was actually where we found a lot of our early investors,
that makes sense.
was through going into these mom groups on Facebook and not advertising our services, but
Hmm.
really just going in and looking at what moms were talking about.
Got it.
And so often they would talk about saving for college or not having enough income, or, and we would chime in and we would say, oh, well, I know most people do the 529 plan, but here are the pros and cons, and here's what I do instead.
Got it.
And so it'd strike up this conversation as we added to the existing threads that were going on.
So let's talk about that. Let's pretend for a minute that I'm a busy mom and all I know is the 529 plan. Let's assume both my husband and I work, and I have kids. I don't know, under 7. Um, what kind of things would you kind of coach or at least educate me on so we can get this recorded and others could hear it?
Yeah, so the 529 plan is really quite popular. It's what most people know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so if you know it, that's what you do, right? You
Mm-hmm.
go with what you know. Um, I would say one thing that we tell people is you have to know that the 529 plan is for education,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to use it for education. And I don't know about you, but my kids are, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do when they grow up. I don't know if they're going to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to pressure them. And who knows by then, in 10 years, 20 years, what the college landscape will even look like at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they may do online classes. They may, travel around the world. I have no idea what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The last thing that I would want to do as a mom is to take my hard-earned money and trap it into a plan that
Mm-hmm.
can only let them use it a certain way.
Yep.
Because that's going to govern my parenting decisions. Because I'm going to say, well, I've put all this money into a 529 plan, son. You need to go to college so that you don't waste all this money that I've put into this plan for you. And so for me, I want to give myself and my kids more of that freedom and that flexibility to live their lives the way that they want. And so by investing in these other types of assets where I have more freedom and flexibility to use them as I see fit and as our lives evolve, then it really gives us all more of that flexibility.
Very, very cool. I like that. And full disclosure, I did a 529 plan for our daughter, and also bought a rental property, and the rental property performed a lot better and gave us options. And after she graduated, we still had money left over, which is a problem. So in the 529 plan, anyways,
Yeah.
small world. So now that you're in syndications, you have moms, you have really a market that both you and Julie are really a part of, which is awesome. You speak the same language as busy moms. How do you sort of handle the, hey, we're top of market, or don't know what the future holds? Because one of the things that busy moms probably think about is the risk, right? They're probably, I'm just guessing, probably more risk averse than the average person. Again, just a complete guess, but I'm sure that's a conversation you have all the time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And while we target busy moms, we do work with everyone. So I would say about half of our investors are women
Okay.
and half are men, which is pretty high for the real estate investing world, because where it's mostly men. So yeah, that's a conversation we have all the time. People always want to know about risk, especially when they find us on the internet, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They're Googling and they find this company called Good Egg Investments and they're like, this looks good, but are they really going to help me, or are they just in it for my money?
Yep.
So we have those kinds of conversations all the time. And one thing that we tell people is, no matter, if you look back in history for thousands, millions of years, the one thing that is clear is that humans like to live indoors.
Yeah.
And so there will always be a demand for housing.
Yeah.
And so the reason that we focus on multifamily, and in particular B-class multifamily, and I'll explain what that means, is that it really is more recession resistant than a lot of other asset types. And so commercial real estate is really graded almost like a report card on a scale from A to D, with A being luxury tier, B and C being more of the workforce housing, and D being the stay out of there, those are the gang zones type of properties. So we tend to focus on B class because in the good times, C class folks are going to be making a little more money. They're going to be moving up to B class. And in the not so good times, the people in A class are going to say, okay, I got to put my snowboard into storage and hunker down and downgrade, and they're going to move into from A to B class. So whether it's in good times or bad, there's always a demand for B class.
Very cool. And when you look at the inventory of new developments, is it fair to say that most new development going on is A-class stuff?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's very hard to find B and C class because it's so expensive to build now. So when developers build, they want to make sure that they're getting top of the line dollars for their work.
Mm-hmm. And then when we go back and look at, I think you said, I forgot how many you said, 12 or 20, I forget. How many deals you've done thus far, you and Julie, as far as Good Egg? Where are you in the country? Yep. Sorry.
Oh, yes. So to date, we've done about 23 deals, and they're 23. Mostly in Texas and the Southeast.
Very cool. That's what I would have guessed. Very cool. And then where can people learn more about Good Egg? Because you guys put out a lot of stuff. Where would you like them to go?
The best place to go is our website, goodegginvestments.com. And if you're completely new to passive investing, we have a free course called Passive Real Estate Investing 101 right there on our homepage. It'll give you everything you need to know.
Very good, Annie. Thank you very much for doing this. This has been a lot of fun. Please go to Good Egg Investments. And if you're new, take that passive, what's it called again? Sorry, passive investing. What was it called?
Passive Real Estate Investing 101.
Passive Real Estate Investing 101. Take that course, learn about it, see what's out there. And again, I really appreciate what you two are doing for moms out there, because I know they need a lot of options. Thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael.
You got it.